All right, in this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at zoning, what it is, and how it can be used in your Unreal level. So, Logan, what exactly is zoning?
Well, zoning is simply where you take your level and seal off various parts of the level from all the other parts. For example, you take a hallway and you seal it off so that internally you can tell the difference. The hallway would be its own zone, and maybe the main part of the cylinder room would be its own zone. And yes, I know we've got a little bit of a, just a kind of a bland cylinder box level, but it gets the point across for a very simple zone.
Well, we can't even really see it yet, so just hold off. But go on, anyway. So go on with how we can use zoning.
Well, zoning is used for optimization purposes, as well as a few other things, applying properties to certain parts of the level.
Okay.
But since this lesson focuses on optimization, we'll show how it can help.
All right. Now, what do you mean in this case by optimizing a level with zoning?
Optimizing a level more simply means just what is currently being drawn on the screen and making sure that anything that is not seen is not necessarily drawn.
Okay.
So that you don't have, like, part of a level that's behind a wall. Does not really need to draw at all.
Right, because you shouldn't be able to see through a wall.
Right, and then you save on render speed by drawing what you can't see.
Okay, cool.
Now, with zoning, we set this up so that, say you're in one part of the level and you cannot see another part. You're in a tunnel or in a hallway and you cannot see, like, a massive arena somewhere.
Right.
You don't want to be rendering that arena. But by default, if you don't set up any kind of zoning or any other optimization, you can be, like, buried in a little cave somewhere and the rest of the level will still render.
Wow.
If you have zones set up and you cannot see into another zone, you're in a current zone, like say you're in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot see into the zone that is the arena. Then the arena will cease drawing if you cannot see that zone.
Okay, cool.
This way we can divide the level up. As a matter of fact, let me jump into this little test map here, and I'll take a look, or I'll show what I'm trying to explain here. I'll turn on wireframe so that we can see exactly what's drawing. So, yay, we have some cylinders and cubes. What I'm going to do now is switch over to R mode 1, which is wireframe, and notice that there's actually more than you can see. There's some meshes behind that wall. There's also a tunnel that leads off to the side. So check this out. As I walk into the tunnel now, well, yeah, we should still be drawing this stuff, but I can still see into it. Walk off to the side. Well, I can't quite see it. I can see the doorway, but I'm still seeing everything.
Right.
If I walk all the way into the hallway, cut a corner, now I'm all the way down. Now I shouldn't even be able to see the doorway itself. Yet I'm still rendering everything.
So even though your view is occluded, it's still drawing everything in the level right now.
Right. It's not set up to be able to divide anything. It's just rendering everything in the level. As a matter of fact, this is going to be quite a bit of information, but I'm actually going to load up stat render real quick. Just type stat render. Now, if you look in the very bottom of the middle column where it says static mesh, you can see it's drawing about 72,000 triangles worth of static meshes. Of course, if I look away, it stops drawing them. But we're in a hallway. R mode 5, which is normal, should tell us that, okay, we really don't need to be rendering 75,000 triangles for this hallway.
Not. Right.
So I'm going to go back to UnrealEd now and set this up now. Set up a zone in between here so that we have this zoned off. That way when we cannot see the zone, it won't draw.
Okay.
So how do we go about setting up the zone? The first thing I'm going to do is create a sheet builder brush. I'm going to right-click to bring up its properties because I want to change it to an x-axis because I'm trying to basically fill off that corridor. So we've got the x-axis, so x-axis, height 256, the width of that doorway is 512, so I'll build that. Simply control-drag it into place. I don't know, something about like that should work.
So you're just lining it up with that doorway.
Right, I'm lining it up and making sure that it lines up perfectly. You can, for purposes of sealing things off with zone portals, I could have this extend off the edge. That would also work.
So you can make it too big.
Right.
Right.
But making it too small will obviously not really close it off, and therefore not seal the different parts of the levels.
Okay, that makes sense.
The different parts of the level. So with this in place, another note about zone portals is a doorway is the prime candidate location for a zone portal. Now, while it can speed things up by dividing your level, you don't want to put it in a huge open area. There's calculation time in deciding how the zones are set up. And the reason it's used, though, is not having to draw 73,000 triangles can be much more of a performance gain than figuring out a zone.
Okay.
Whereas if you're in a huge open area, the calculation needed to process what should be drawn in the zone may end up being slower than the actual triangles you're trying to render.
That makes sense.
It's always a trade-off and a good idea to try to find tight, smaller areas like tunnels or doorways. Those work great for zoning.
Makes perfect sense.
So with this lined up now, I want to create a zone portal here for the sheet. And just for visual sake, I think I'm actually going to load up a texture to make this a little bit more apparent. Under the texture browser, I'll load up WM textures.
Okay.
simply because, WM Textures, simply because it has a texture called Zone Portal.
Okay, that's going to work well.
So if that's selected, or let me just close this. Now, I've got it lined up, so I'm going to go over to the Add Special Brush button. Click it, and now we have a list of things we can check, but one of the prefabs we have is Zone Portal. How convenient.
Very nice.
Portal Invisible. That'll work, and as well as non-solid. So we'll say OK to build that, close it out, Zone Portal. Drawing correctly from this side and all, but still. Very easy to see, bright green. Now, again, a lot of people don't necessarily grab that texture. It's obviously not needed. It just makes it easier to tell what this is.
Right, that way you're a little less likely to confuse it with the texture of an actual part of your level.
What some level designers do in general, though, is just pick a certain texture and use that over and over again for the Zone Portal, which makes it equally easy to see. You see, where you see sheets in doorways and hallways and stuff, and it's all the same texture, then that's probably the Zone Portal.
Cool.
So now if I move my builder brush out of the way, you can see we have the green special brush, which is the portal. Now let's rebuild the level so that the zone change takes effect, or the zoning process takes effect. So it should be zoned. What's a quick way of telling? Well, we have the Zone Portal view, so if we activate that, this entire zone draws in this greenish color. A different zone draws in a bluish color, and it'll alternate.
Nice.
It'll pick new colors every time it finds a new zone it needs to draw. So we can already tell right from the editor that, yes, we have successfully zoned the map. We have two separate zones.
That's awesome.
So let's go ahead and play test this and see how the optimization is working now.
Okay. I love that loading screen, man. That's awesome.
Again, R mode 1. Now, hey, check it out already. As long as that Zone Portal's not in view, that entire zone for the hallway isn't drawing.
As soon as we can see the Zone Portal, everything behind it becomes visible again.
It starts drawing into that zone. One interesting thing, though, is it doesn't necessarily draw the entire zone for that.
Okay, it's just what you need to see.
It's smart enough to calculate off that, okay, this is a zone that I am not in right now. Well, I am seeing these triangles, so those must be drawn. And as I walk into that, of course, more of that's going to open up. Once I walk into the zone, the entire zone is now being drawn. But check it out. Now the arena is starting to drop off. Already the static meshes have disappeared.
Wow.
More triangles disappear, only around the corner. And as soon as the Zone Portal itself disappears, much better. Now we're not rendering anything in that arena, including the 73,000 triangles worth of meshes.
That's awesome.
So with that, very simple to set up, but if used correctly, can be a very powerful tool for level optimization.
Absolutely. So I guess that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this lesson.
Yep.
So thanks a lot, everyone.